Welcome to those of you who were just joining us. We are just giving just one more moment. We'll start at 1:35 just to give those who are joining an opportunity to join. This might be a great time to grab some water or take a brief moment. We appreciate you all joining for the Educational Stability of Students in Foster Care, which is brought to you today by the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, as well as the New York State Education Department. All right. We will go ahead and get started, and we'll start by introducing the team that will be presenting today. My name is Candy Griffin Jenkins, and I'm with the Office of Children and Family Services. I'm the director of the Bureau of Social Determinants of Health, which is located within the Division of Child Welfare and Community Services. And I'm going to hand it over to Teresa Boykins.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Boykins, and I'm also with the Office of Children and Family Services in the Bureau of Social Determinants of Health. I support the ESSA point of contact for Child Welfare Community Services. I'm going to pass it to Alexandra. Are you there, Alexandra?
Yep, she's trying to unmute. So those of you who have done this know that when you're presenting, it's really difficult to find what you need when you're sharing your screen. Alexandra, just give us a nod if you're not able to unmute, and I'll be happy to. Okay. So Alexandra's having technical difficulty, so I will be happy to introduce Alexandra Boyce, who is the new ESSA point of contact located in the Bureau of Social Determinants of Health. Alexandra and Teresa are both on the team, and so we're excited to again present for you today. And now I'll hand it over to our partners over at the State Education Department. Victor?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Victor Rose. I'm the statewide foster care point of contact in the Office of Student Support Services here at the New York State Education Department, and I will pass it to Joanna.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joanna Brierton. I work with Victor in the Office of Student Support Services on all things foster care. I also will be manning the chat today, so please make sure that you add any questions that you would like. We're going to have time for Q&A at the end, but we're also compiling a frequently asked questions document at the end of the series, so any questions that you want to add would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hand it over to Teresa.
Okay, so today we have three main goals. One is to provide an overview of the policies and procedures that support the educational stability and school success of students in foster care. Two, to develop a shared understanding of educational stability procedures across local education agencies and local departments of social services. And three, we want to discuss local successes as well as the challenges in order to share practices and strategies. So our agenda today, first, I want to say thank you again for attending. We appreciate all the work that you do to ensure educational stability of students in foster care. Just a few quick housekeeping items to discuss. Please ensure that your microphone is muted unless you're speaking. We also encourage that you turn on your cameras if available. For technical assistance, we will do our best to support you. Joanna will be managing the chat, and we do ask that if you have questions during the presentation, that you add them to the chat. There will be some time at the end for Q&A. And our agenda today is for shared learning, and we also would love to hear what is working in your areas as well. So quickly, I'll just mention, we're going to talk about background, some definitions. We'll go over determining the district of origin, the best interest determination process, We'll have a look at the LDSS 299 form. We'll go over a few enrollment steps, transportation, the different points of contact responsibilities. We'll have a quick break, and then we'll come back to discuss communication and collaboration, some student experiences. That's when we'll go over our Q&A, and we'll have a quick wrap up, and we do ask that you stay for the wrap up.
Thanks, Teresa. And now we will talk about the experiences of students who are in foster care. We know that nationally, 70 to 84% of 17 to 8-year-old youth in foster care want to go to college, while 2 to 10.8% of foster care alumni attain a bachelor's degree. 64% of foster youth complete high school by the age of 18, as compared to 87.3% for non-foster youth. Youth in foster care are chronically absent from school at about twice the rate of non-foster youth students. Youth in foster care receive out-of-school suspensions at a rate of 12 to 23%, as compared to 5 to 7% of all students. And we also know that students in foster care undergo tremendous trauma, which can impact their school experience. At the same time, when students change schools, they can lose valuable connections to educators, other school staff, and their peers. Child welfare and education agencies have a crucial role to play in working together to support these students. So here are some strategies for success. Promoting school stability, allowing students in foster care to maintain valuable ties to their communities and the adults and peers who know them. Collaboration between child welfare and education agencies. Students' voices being heard by education and child welfare staff, when developmentally appropriate, of course. And education and child welfare staff partnering with parents and caregivers when appropriate. And I'm going to hand it back over to Teresa.
Thank you, Candy. So a few definitions to know. So we have the LDSS, that is the local Department of Social Services. That is a child welfare governmental entity whose local commissioner of social services has care and custody or guardianship of a child. And each LDSS must designate an ESSA point of contact. And then we have the LEA, which is the local education agency. And what that is that it includes the school district, the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, or charter school. Pursuant to ESSA, each LEA must designate a foster care point of contact when each LDSS has appointed one. A few more definitions to know. We have the best interest determination, also known as the BID. What that is a collective process between the LEAs and the LDSSs, from which the LDSS will determine, based on factors that are related to the child's best interest, whether it is in that child's best interest to remain in the school of origin. The bid is completed upon child's entry into foster care and upon any change in foster care placement. We also have the state level point of contact, and that would be the New York State Education Department point of contact, and we will provide these email addresses and websites at the end of our presentation. So again, we do encourage you to stay for the wrap up. You also have the OCFS point of contact, and at these email addresses is where you can get support for anything and all things ESSA. You also have the local point of contact. So this list for LDSS and LEA points of contact and for ESSA can be found on both the OCFS and New York State Education websites. Again, we'll provide that at the end. Victor, I believe.
All right, so we have a few more definitions. First, starting with our district of origin, right? All students in foster care, all children in foster care will have a district of origin. And that's the school district in which the child was attending or was entitled to attend on a tuition-free basis at the time of entry into foster care. Then we have the school of origin, which is the public school the child attended or would have been eligible to attend based on their last residence at the time of placement into foster care or change in foster care placement. So the school of origin can include a preschool, charter school, or special act school district. And then we have the district of attendance. It's the school district wherein the student in foster care is enrolled or is entitled to attend after a best interest determination is made. The district of residence is the public school district where a child lives due to foster care placement. While the district of residence is defined as different from the district of origin, in some cases, it may be the same as the district of origin.
And now it's time to do an audience poll. There is going to be, any moment, there will be a box that pops out that allows you to actually make a selection. And I will go ahead and read the question. And again, when that box pops out, please feel free to enter your answers there and we will see what the correct answer is. So what is the term for the public school a child in foster care attended or was eligible to attend based on their last residence at the time of foster care, placement, or change? A, school of residence. B, school of origin. C, district of placement. Or D, assigned schools. And so far, B is in the running. Looks like folks are saying B, 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 B. We're just going to give this a few moments so that everyone has an opportunity to enter their answer. Thank you all for participating. B is still in the running at 90+%. Just give this a few more moments. Please enter your answers as soon as you're able to. All right. Looks like it's slowing down, so we can go ahead and end that poll and let you know what the correct answer is. All right. So those of you who selected B, school of origin, ding, 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 you are correct. That is the correct answer. Okay. And now we're going to go to our next audience poll, which again, that pop-up box will show soon. But the questions for this one is, which term best describes the district that a student attended or was entitled to attend when they entered foster care? A, the district of origin. B, assigned district. C, district of placement. Or D, district of residence. And I do see some of you are using the chat. Here's that box. If you wouldn't mind placing your answers here, let's see how we do. So far, A, district of origin, is in the runnings. We're going to give this a moment, just like we did last time, to give people the opportunity to enter. A, district of origin is still in the runnings. Thanks to you for entering your answers right in the poll. just give it another second, and then we can end that poll and let you all know what the correct answer is. All right, the correct answer is A, district of origin. So yay to those of you who made that selection. All right, now I'm going to hand it over back over to Victor.
All right, so some laws that have gotten us to where we are today. Really, state and federal laws have progressively gotten us here, starting with the fostering connections, which required collaboration between child welfare and education systems to ensure school stability for children in foster care. Followed by 3 years later, the Child and Family Services Improvement and Innovation Act, which really strengthened accountability for educational stability, well-being, and coordination of child welfare in schools. And then we have ESSA, or the Every Student Succeeds Act, which expanded educational protections for children in foster care by mandating collaboration between child welfare and education systems to ensure school stability with immediate enrollment and transportation to the school of origin. And then we have our Education Law 3244, which we'll talk about in more detail next. So Education Law 3244 was effective in 2018. It really enshrines educational protection for children in foster care. It establishes the rights of students placed or moved in foster care to continue attending the school of origin if determined to be in their best interests, or attend the district of residence if determined to be in their best interest. Immediate enrollment if the bid determines this child should attend a new school, and transportation if necessary to attend the school of origin, as well as establishes the points of contacts for the LEAs and the LDSS. So a bid is made to determine if a child will continue to attend that school of origin or if they will be enrolled in the district of residence. The district educating the child becomes the district of attendance, which is responsible for providing transportation. The district of origin remains unchanged for the duration of the foster care episode, even though it may not be the district of attendance or residence. If the child is placed in kin via Article 10 direct placement, the child is not in foster care. In these cases, this provision of law does not apply, and a child should attend the school district where they are living with kin. In some cases, children may qualify for McKinney-Vento, so you may want to consult with your McKinney-Vento liaison about what options are there for those children. So here at the State Education Department, we defined the academic year between July 1st and June 30th. So a child is entitled to attend the designated school that has been determined to be in their best interests for the duration of their time in foster care, regardless of foster care placement changes. Upon discharge from foster care, a child is entitled to continue to attend the school until the end of the school year in which the child is discharged from foster care, and for one additional year if that year is the final year in the school. I'll pass it over to Teresa.
Thank you, Victor. So we're going to talk about what is the best interest determination. So a bid, also referenced as a bid, is a LDSS decision following collaboration with an LEAs and other stakeholders as to whether it is in the child's best interest to remain in the school of origin following a foster care placement, or change in foster care placement. A bid is also done to determine whether the child will attend the school of origin or a different school located in the school district of residence. Just a quick note that the LDSS is uniquely positioned to assess vital non-educational factors such as safety, sibling placements, the child's permanency goal, and other components of that case plan. The LDSS also has the authority, capacity, and responsibility to collaborate with and gain information from multiple parties, which could include the parents of the children, schools, and the court that would be making these decisions. So just a few steps to go over. So here are the bid steps that an LDSS should take to complete a bid. Step one would be the notification. The LDSS caseworker sends an initial notification letter to the child's school, which is the school of origin, notifying the school that a child who is currently a student in the district has entered foster care or experienced a change in foster care placement no later than 2 business days after the child enters foster care or changes placement. Step 2 would be to collaborate with the LEA to complete a bid. The LDSS and school officials will work together to assess the student's individual situation, needs, and educational program to make the bid for the child's school placement. The next step would be step 3, documentation. The bid will be documented in the LDSS 2999 form. The form, the child in foster care school notification must be completed no later than 10 days after the placement of a child in foster care and or change in foster care placement, and if possible, earlier than the 10 days. And then there's step 4, which is enrollment. After notifying the LEA point of contact of the district of attendance resulting from the best interest determination, collaborate with the LEA point of contact for the child's immediate or continued enrollment in school. And finally, step 5 is to coordinate transportation. The LDSS point of contact and the LEA point of contact should collaborate to develop any interim transportation plan that is necessary. The LDSS point of contact and the LEA point of contact of the district of attendance shall develop an individual transportation plan for a student in foster care document. Transportation will be addressed later in our presentation. Okay. Some other things to consider during the bid process. It must be done in consultation with a school personnel from appropriate LEAs. This may include the Committee on Special Education chairperson, if applicable, the child if they are developmentally able, parents or parent if available and able to provide input, and the caseworker. Other relevant stakeholders should be consulted, such as the foster or adoptive parents, attorney for the child, case planner, manager, and/or supervisor, and any other relevant person. The LDSS is responsible for making the best interest determination. I just want to highlight that this also includes all students, including students in a particular program such as BOCES or who have an IEP. All of the relevant school staff who are familiar with the student should participate in the bid process to provide feedback on the student's progress in the student's current special education program and how changing schools might impact that student's education, academics, social, and emotional well-being. Okay. I just want to note sometimes that the bid process will work best in formal meeting settings that brings together all parties to make the determination. Other times, especially when time is restricted, more formal methods, including receiving input via email, may enable the LDSS to gather the necessary information and review in a timely fashion, regardless of whether the bid is done formally or informally. Uh, the LDSS must work to gather input from any and all relevant individuals and review documentation in order to make the bid. Efforts to consider input from schools, if provided, are crucial or critical, and uh, as well as using all information available to make the most informed bid as possible. Law requires consultation and you must talk to the school. There's a few more bid factors to consider: the child's age and preference, grade level and how long the child has been connected to the school of origin, proximity of foster care placement to the child's school of origin, including impact on the length of time that will be spent traveling to and from school each day. Availability of programs in the districts may differ. So, for example, special education placement, BOCES programs, music, sports, etc. The impact of potential school change on on a child's social, emotional, and or behavioral well-being. Also considering the permanency plan, length of time in care, and the appropriateness of educational programs in the current school or another school, and how each school serves or can serve the child's needs, again, including special education and other interests. We just wanted to highlight that the cost of transportation may not be a factor in that determination. We also just wanted to highlight that the additional factors to consider are listed in our toolkit, and to note that BOCES availability may differ by district. So if you change the district of attendance, a student may be unable to attend the same BOCES. So each BOCES does not offer the same programs. It is the Committee on Preschool Special Education and or the Committee on Special Education who will determine special education placements. A change in district means that the new committee creates the new Individualized Education Program, the IEP, and program decisions. There are some times when school districts may experience challenges assessing buses and or drivers. However, this should not impact the best interest determination. It is the district of attendance's responsibility to provide transportation once the bid has been made. Andy?
All right, so here we have another audience poll. And this time you're gonna just simply add whether you feel this is true or false. A bid process always requires a formal meeting. A for true or B for false. And that box just popped up. If you could please enter your answer in that box, that would be great. And so far we see B false is in the running. We'll see if that changes. B is still in the running. We're going to give it a little more time to allow others to continue to place their answers in the box. Look at that. B is still in the running. All right, we'll give it just another moment and then feel free to end the poll. And the correct answer is B. And I'm going to give a little bit more context for that. B, sometimes the bid process will work best in a formal meeting setting that brings together all participants to make the determination. Other times, especially when time is tight, more informal methods, including receiving input by email, may enable the LDSS to gather the necessary information and review in a timely fashion. Regardless of whether the bid is conducted through a formal or informal process, the LDSS must work to gather input from relevant individuals and review documentation to make a bid. Efforts to consider input from schools, where provided, are critical, as well as using all information available to make the most informed bid as possible. All right, and we have another audience poll. And this time we're asking if the student has an individualized education program or IEP, how does this impact the bid process? A bid process is not needed for a student with an IEP. B, the relevant school staff familiar with the student, counselor, teacher, etc., should participate to provide feedback on the student's progress in the current special education program and how changing school districts might impact the special education program and the student. Or C, the Committee on Special Education, or CSE, makes the final bid determination. That little box, there it is. Please feel free to enter your answers in the poll. It looks like B is in the running. B is still in the running. And you're still at B. We'll give it a few more moments. And then you feel free to close the poll. All right, let's see what the answer is. B. The correct answer is B. If the student has an IEP, the relevant school staff familiar with the student should participate in the bid process to provide feedback of the student's progress in the student's current special education program and how changing school districts might impact that placement along with the student's academic, social, and emotional well-being. I will also note a clarifying note that the bid is between the school of origin for the public school and not the private or special ed school. So if the student is placed by a CSE in such a school, the child remains enrolled in that district of attendance. The bid will then choose between the district or the current district of residence. All right, so I just wanted to provide that context as well. And we can move on to the next slide. And again, if you have questions or thoughts on this, please feel free to use the chat to flag for us. All right, so now I'm going to go over the OCFS 5017, which is a sample notification letter. Earlier reference was made to the toolkit, and I also noted that the link to that toolkit was dropped in the chat, so feel free to look at that link that Joanna provided for your reference. That toolkit is sort of where you can find all things ESSA related, and it gives you step-by-step information on how you can this process should be done. So what we're providing here is just again a sample of what would be submitted by step. So first step, bid step 1, you're going to notify, right? The LDSS caseworker sends a notification letter to the child's school notifying the school that a child who is currently a student in that district has entered foster care or has experienced a change in foster care placement. This should be done no later than two business days after the child enters foster care or changes placement. Again, a sample initial notification letter, which should be emailed, is included in that toolkit so that you can utilize that. If it's an initial placement, the notification goes to the district of origin. If it's a change in placement, the notification should go to the district of attendance. And I will also note that we must be mindful that the district of attendance and the district of origin should always be notified as they are financially responsible. So in addition to the district of attendance, the district of origin should always be notified as they are financially responsible. All right. Now we're going to go over the LDSS 299 form. This is the form that is utilized for, again, notification, and there are different, sections in this form. This can also be found in the toolkit as an example. Section A, you will be providing the personal information. In Section B, that part will record the schools pursuant to the bid. Section C are the signatures, and sections D and E are the actual bid process. The LDSS must notify the school district of origin even for non-school age children. If the child is not yet of school age and the child does not attend a preschool as defined in Education Law 3244, please complete only sections A and C. If the child attends preschool as defined in Education Law 3244, the LDSS must conduct a bid and sections B, D, and E must be completed. The LDSS 299 was updated in 2024 to add the gender option X and to specify that sections B, D, and E must be completed if the child attends preschool as defined in Education Law 3244. All right, and to conclude with this LDSS 299 sections, D and E, section D, the best interest determination, actually documents considered for bid, report cards, and progress report, achievement data, which is test scores, attendance data, disciplinarian records, special education records, email correspondence from individuals consulted, as well, name of parties who participated in the actual bid process, the child, the parent, caseworker, foster parent, attorney for the child, CPSC or CSE chair, pupil personnel services, staff, etc. And then section E, the best interest determination summary of rationale, summarizes the key factors influencing the determination. And in the best interest determination summary of rationale, there should be an explanation of how this decision was made, including the key factors. All right, and then we have another audience poll for you all. Of course, that little box will be popping up any moment, but how long does the local Department of Social Services have to complete the best interest determination process and transmit the LDSS 2999 form to local education agency? Your answers are A, 2 days, B, 5 days, C, 10 days, or D, immediately as possible. And there you are, if you wouldn't mind just putting your answers in. So far, we have 2 days in the running. Two days. Two days in the running. Two days. Just going to give it a few more moments, and then we'll close the poll and provide the correct answer. All right, and here we are. The correct answer is actually C, 10 days for the local Department of Social Services to complete the bid as well as transmit the LDSS 2999 form to the local education agency. Thank you all for participating in that. And I believe, does this still stay with me? Yep, it sure does. All right. So the LDSS point of contact responsibilities. First, we're going to have you notify the LEA's point of contact that a child in the school district has entered foster care or changed foster care placement, right? And we're going to refer back to that sample notification letter. I'm going to have you collaborate with LEAs to make that bid. Have you complete the child in foster care school notification, LDSS 2999 form. And have you ensure the child is enrolled in school immediately if the bid determines the child should attend a new school. Develop any interim transportation plan necessary. And remember, transportation cannot be a consideration for that bid determination. And we'll have you work with the LEA POC at the School of Attendance to develop the individual transportation plan. Responsibilities also include monitoring that the children in foster care are enrolled in and regularly attending school, serve as a primary contact between schools, families, and other service providers to assist and coordinate educational services and supports for children in foster care. If there is a delay in the child's educational stability or there are problems with the districts, please do not wait. Please contact the New York State Education Department for support. And again, those that contact information that we shared a little earlier will be provided again at the end of the presentation. And I believe now we're going over to Victor.
Thank you. And as the LDSS has responsibilities, so does the LEA. And one of the first responsibility is once we receive notification of the LDSS notice, the District of Attendance notifies the appropriate school personnel, especially transportation, but this could include a department such as special education or ENL, depending on the needs of that student. To ensure the educational stability of students, we would like that done within 2 business days. The District of Attendance immediately contacts the last school the student attended, if that's applicable, to obtain the educational records of that student. And then the District of Attendance completes and implements the individual transportation plan for a student in foster care within 2 to 3 business days if the student is residing within the district, or 5 to 7 business days if the student is residing outside of the district. And this should be done, 5 to 7 days upon receipt of the LDSS 299 form. And now we are on a 10-minute break, and we should return at about 2:28 p.m. See you then. All right. It's like we should be coming back. We'll just give it a few more seconds just in case. Everyone needs a moment. All right. So we are moving on to talk about transportation. And there are two forms required for transportation. First is the local transportation agreement for students in foster care, also referred to as the OCFS 5018 form. This is required to be prepared by the local Department of Social Services and school districts every 2 years. It outlines the local transportation procedures because you know your localities best. It provides both with key contacts for foster care issues, information to be provided by the school and the school district and the local Department of Social Services in support of the bid, and additional supports for students in foster care, right? So this is kind of your governing agreement as it relates to transportation for students in foster care. But then we know that we need to look at our students as individuals. So we have our individual transportation plan for students in foster care, also known as OCFS 5019. This is developed on a case-by-case basis. It specifies the plan for an individual student, provides key contact information, and is a plan that must be signed by the districts involved in the provision of or cost of transportation. Because sometimes students live in a distance away, and sometimes districts need to partner with other districts or BOCES in order to transport that student. So whoever is involved in transporting the student would need to be part of this individual transportation plan for student. Next. So the transportation flow is that a child in foster care is entitled to receive transportation to attend the school of origin. The district that is designated the district of attendance must provide the necessary transportation. And then the district of attendance will receive transportation aid up to 50 miles each way. So the local Department of Social Services and the school district of attendance will split 50-50, the excess allowable cost remaining after the following deductions from the total cost. The first deduction is the cost of what the school district would otherwise spend to transport a non-foster care student to their assigned school, and the amount in state transportation aid for miles traveled up to 50 miles each way. So the local school district will do the calculations with these deductions and then send the local Department of Social Services a bill for that excess allowable cost. Next. There are some unique or special circumstances, first involving our students who attend public charter schools. So students in foster care that attend a public charter school receives transportation from their district of residence. Students in foster care attending a CPSC or CSC special education placement, such as a BOCES, a 4410 preschool, or an 853 school, receives transportation from the district of attendance. Next. All right, so we have our audience poll. Which entity is responsible for transporting a student between their foster care placement and the school of origin? A foster parent, B, the district of attendance, C, the district of origin, or D, the LDSS/voluntary agency. The poll is now presented. All right, there seems to be a back and forth between B and C. We'll give people a few more seconds to participate. All right, it looks like the poll is slowing down, so let's give it. All right, so I'm going to end the poll here and share the results. So the answer is B. So the district of attendance is responsible for transporting a student between their foster care placement and school of origin, right? And this gets a little confusing because we have district of origin and school of origin. But just to clarify, every student has a district of origin, right? Every child in foster care has a district of origin. That does not change. What can change is that district of attendance and district of residence. But the district of attendance for all students, except for students attending a public charter school, will provide transportation for that student, right? So all students in foster care, it's the district of attendance who's going to provide transportation unless they attend a public charter school in which the district of residence would provide transportation for that student in the charter school. So hopefully that clarifies it. If not, you can always reach out to us for additional support.
All right, so now we're gonna just reference the flow chart, which was created and is located in the toolkit that we discussed earlier. And essentially what this does is it just provides you with some sort of, organized guidance on how the process should work, sort of highlighting that the child will enter care or there's a change in placement. And from there, what you would do within the first 2 days, where you're, notifying the appropriate school personnel, and involving the various individuals who should be, involved and notified to, collaborating on that bid process to figure out what would be the best, way for that youth to proceed. And then depending on, what that looks like for the circumstance, you would continue to follow, the colorful boxes in the way that, makes the most sense for that youth, as well as, ensuring that that child is ultimately getting, going to school, getting that education, and, doing so in as quickly a manner as possible. I will always also underscore here that if there are any challenges, with this process, that you should quickly, reach out to the Office of Children and Family Services or New York State Education Department so that we can assist if there's, a need to support in any way that, you all, the school or the districts aren't able to come to agreement on. So that is the flow chart. And again, that can be found in the toolkit, which the link was provided in the chat and will also be available to you all at the end of the presentation. All right. So now we're going to talk about dispute resolution. And in cases where there are dispute, both the Fostering Connections Act and ESSA require that there's coordination among agencies to ensure the educational stability of children in foster care. Given these coordination requirements, the relevant agencies should make every single effort to reach agreement regarding the appropriate school placement of children in foster care. And with that, each LDSS and LEA should involve their local points of contacts who can seek additional input and guidance from their immediate supervisor and others within the LDSS and or the LEA to attempt to resolve the disagreement at that local level. If a local resolution cannot be reached for some reason, the LDSS and the LEA point of contact may seek guidance from the state point of contact, which would be Alexandra Boyce, at OCFS, and the state point of contact at the New York State Education Department. And this can also be found, there's a dispute resolution section that can also be found in the toolkit. But please, read that toolkit in its entirety to fully understand. And again, know that you have support in both of our agencies that you can reach out to help with these matters. And contacting us as soon as possible is always better. So just want to underscore that again. All right. So as far as next steps and items to review, as you are, participating in this process, question to ask is, do you have a local transportation agreement? If you need assistance in developing one, please refer to the sample transportation agreement in the toolkit. Does every child in foster care have a completed bid? How is the district of origin notified for children not yet of school age? As you recall, Victor shared that even for young babies, there still needs to be a bid completed. How is the impact to the child considered when completing the bid with regard to distance and length of time to transport those students back to the school of origin? Remember, cost cannot be considered, but these factors both can and should be considered. And has the district of residence been consulted regarding the specific program availability for the child, i.e., there was a special ed like BOCES or an other program? And have you all reviewed the LDSS 2999 form and when to use the school notification form? So understanding these steps and items to review are critical in the process. All right, now I'm going to hand it back over to Teresa.
So we're going to talk about communication and collaboration between the LDSS and the LEA. Some things you want to do is you want to ensure that the designated point of contact is clearly communicated and easily accessible to the public through the agency websites. Again, we will provide that information at the end of the presentation. At minimum, conduct an annual meeting between the LDSS and the LEA to evaluate practices and policies from the previous school year and collaboratively plan improvements for the upcoming year. You want to develop and implement comprehensive transportation plans to support the educational stability of children in foster care, as well as establish a structured process for collaborative problem solving and implement a clear, efficient dispute resolution protocol. You want to coordinate the immediate enrollment and transfer of educational records, if at all necessary. Next slide. So we're just going to share a little bit about these student experiences. So students in foster care thrive when given opportunities that foster stability, social connections, and a sense of belonging and personal growth. School districts should actively collaborate with the LDSSs to provide access to enriching experiences that include but are not limited to after-school programs, athletics, career and technical education, field trips, prom and graduation, summer enrichment opportunities, working papers for employment. And I would also note that the LEAs will need to collaborate with the LDSS for other funding sources when needed, for example, for prom or graduation funding, etc. And one example we do share is that New York State provides a grant for funding for after-school programs through an initiative like Learning and Enrichment After-School Program Supports, also known as LEAPS.